Hello, people. Hope you're all doing wonderfully well and safe, healthy, and happy. So, today I'm here to talk about boundaries. So, what are these boundaries that I'm talking about? See, when we have a house, we build a compound around it so that we set our boundaries so people don't invade into our private space. Let's say we buy a property, then we build a compound around it or we build a fence around it, which is so normally accepted in the society to say that yes, we have to set our boundaries. However, in terms of setting boundaries in relationship, that is a taboo, people, and we constantly fear setting boundaries, and also we constantly intrude into others' boundaries. So before we understand more about these boundaries, let's understand why we need boundaries in the first place. Boundaries create trust and build healthy relationship. When you have boundaries, each one of you have set your own boundaries, it helps you build a healthy relationship. Even when some people don't like what you do, they still likely respect that you are standing for your own self and you are doing what you believe in. Boundaries also generate safety in a relationship. See, when you are feeling safe in a relationship, that's when you are able to give more to that relationship. That's when you are able to contribute well to the relationship itself. So let's get deeper into these boundaries and understand what are the kinds of boundaries that I need to be placing in my relationship so that I have a healthy and happy relationship. So there are basically 6 types of boundaries. So let's talk about each one individually. The first and foremost important boundary that each one of us have to implement in our relationship is physical boundaries. So what are these physical boundaries? Who is allowed to touch you? Who is allowed to enter your personal space? How close someone can get to you, and what you choose to put into your body, like water, drinking, eating. So these are the things that come under these physical boundaries. So what are the examples that you can use to make sure you have the right kind of a physical boundary set in for people around you? The first simple example is, please don't touch me like that. Could you please take a step back? You're too close to me. I won't be drinking tonight. However, thank you for offering me. Please don't tell me what to eat. I know you mean well. However, I can take care of myself well. If you need to walk into my room, I would like you to take my permission before. And the most common, comment that affects us in terms of our appearance is people commenting on my looks. So you can set your physical boundary saying that I don't want you to comment on my appearance. I hope these simple examples have made it clear for you to how to set physical boundaries in your relationship or with people around you. The second most important boundary that we have to set in our relationship is emotional boundaries, which is more commonly neglected, because we don't understand the intensity of these emotional burdens that each one of us carry because we fail to set these emotional boundaries in our relationship. So not taking on other person's emotional burden, one most important area where we end up overdoing it. So when you don't have the capacity to carry other person's burden, you make sure you make that person aware politely, and not engaging in triggering topics. When you talk about the topic, you end up fighting more often, or you end up using wrong behavior which you're not happy later thinking about. So that's when you have to consciously let other person know that you're not interested in discussing about that topic. And separating yourself from your feelings is one more practice that we all have to understand and implement in our daily life. So how do I set my emotional boundaries? Here are few statements which will surely come handy for you to set your emotional boundaries right. So this is not a topic that I want to discuss right now. I want to support you, but I have too much on my plate right now. If you are disrespectful, I will not be engaging in this conversation anymore. I need some time alone when I get upset. And the most common thing that we all end up getting involved with is talking about politics and world events. And you may not enjoy that. So you can reassure people saying that I don't have the emotional capacity to talk about the politics or world events. So these are few of the statements which come handy for you when you want to draw a line for your emotional boundaries. The third most important boundary that we have to practice is communication boundaries. The words impact you more than anything else in the world. So you have to decide how someone is allowed to speak to you. What someone can say and cannot say to you. How you speak to yourself is the most important area which is more neglected. So when you are being alone, what are you talking to yourself? What are you telling yourself? And how you speak with others. So these are some of the most important concepts that come into setting emotional boundaries. So how do I practice these in my daily relationship? So here are a few examples. So now the most important and most common one which comes handy is the number one. Please stop telling me I am too sensitive or I'm overreacting, because it really doesn't help me. The second statement, if you demean me or call me names, this conversation will end. The third most common statement, I know you mean well, but I can make the decision on my own. Number 4, I appreciate you sharing your experiences. However, I'm hopeful that things would work out differently for me. This statement will come handy, especially when people are constantly talking about negative experiences, when you are willing to explore and experience a new opportunity in your life. So number 5, I am not ready to talk about this personal matter. I'd like this to be private. Number 6, please don't talk to me in that tone. So these are few important statements for you to set your communication boundaries. That way you can protect yourself from harsh words and have a healthy and happy relationship as well.